Hey everyone, I'm Cheyenne and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to break down the differences between the three major East Asian languages, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. Despite some geographical and cultural connections, these languages are uniquely distinct from each other in several ways. So let's explore their linguistic, cultural, and historical features. Let's start with linguistic classification, how each of these languages fits into the larger family. Chinese belongs to the Sino-Tibetan language family. It's a tonal and analytical language, meaning that words don't change for tense or case. The meaning of a word often depends on the tone in which it's spoken, which brings us to one of the most notable features of Chinese: tones. Japanese, on the other hand, is considered an isolated language. Its origins are still debated, but we know it has been heavily influenced by Chinese, particularly in its writing system. Japanese uses suffixes to express grammatical changes. Korean belongs to the Koreanic language family and uses suffixes to express grammatical changes like Japanese. Some theories suggest it may have distant relations to the Altaic languages, but there's still much debate about this. Like Japanese, it also relies on particles to indicate grammatical rules. Now let's talk about writing systems, which is one of the most striking differences between these languages. Chinese uses Chinese characters or Hanzi. Each character represents a morpheme, a unit of meaning. In Mandarin Chinese, the simplified characters are used, while in regions like Taiwan and Hong Kong, the traditional characters are still common. Japanese has a more complex system, using three scripts: kanji, hiragana, and katakana. While kanji shares Chinese roots, the Japanese language also has its own unique readings and meanings for these characters. Korean uses Hangul, a unique phonetic alphabet developed in the 15th century. Hangul is made up of syllabic blocks, grouping sounds into square shapes. While Hanja were once used, they're now only seen in specific contexts like classical literature. So we can see that Chinese characters have a much more symbolic and logographic approach, while Japanese and Korean mix phonetic systems with Chinese influences. Let's dive into pronunciation and the sounds of these languages. Chinese is a tonal language, meaning that the tone with which a word is spoken can change its meaning entirely. Mandarin has 4 tones, while Cantonese has more. Japanese, by contrast, is non-tonal. While it doesn't rely on tones to distinguish meanings, it does have a pitch accent, where the pitch of a syllable can affect meaning, but it's not as complex as tonal languages. Korean is also non-tonal, but it has some unique features like aspiration and tense consonants. Korean also uses vowel harmony, meaning certain vowels tend to occur together in a word. In terms of pronunciation, Chinese requires careful attention to tones, while Japanese and Korean focuses more on consonant and vowel sounds. When it comes to grammar and sentence structure, these languages diverge significantly. Chinese uses a subject-verb-object structure, just like English. One key thing is that Chinese doesn't use verb conjugation. For example, you don't change a verb to indicate tense. Instead, time words like yesterday or tomorrow indicate when the action happens. Japanese follows a subject-object-verb order, where the verb always comes at the end of the sentence. Japanese also relies on particles that help mark the grammatical roles of words in a sentence. Korean, similar to Japanese, uses a subject-object-verb structure and also relies on particles. Korean grammar is more complex, with verbs conjugating for tense, politeness, and even speech level. There's also a significant emphasis on honorifics in Korean, making it more complex than Japanese in this regard. The key takeaway here is that while Chinese has relatively straightforward sentence structure, Japanese and Korean require you to understand the role of particles and honorifics to master the grammar. Now, let's look at the vocabulary of these languages and how much they're borrowed from other languages. Chinese has relatively little foreign influence. While it does have some modern loanwords from English, most of the vocabulary is indigenous. Japanese has a significant amount of Chinese loanwords, with around 50 to 60% of its vocabulary coming from Chinese. These words have completely different pronunciations in Japanese. In addition, Japanese has many Western loanwords, especially from English. Korean is similar to Japanese with over 50% of its vocabulary stemming from Chinese, and it has many English loanwords as well as often adapted to Korean pronunciation. So Chinese is more self-contained, while both Chinese and Korean have borrowed a lot from Chinese and more recently from Western languages. Lastly, let's touch on the cultural and historical influence of these languages. Chinese culture has had a significant influence on both Japan and Korea, particularly in areas like writing and Confucian values. Japanese culture has also influenced Korea, especially during the colonial period, leaving its mark on language, architecture, and social systems. In more recent times, Korean culture has exploded in global influence with the rise of K-pop and K-dramas, impacting not only Asia but the whole world. So, to sum it all up, Chinese is a tonal, analytical language with a logographic writing system. Japanese mixes Chinese characters with its own phonetic scripts and has a subject-object-verb grammar structure. Korean uses the unique Hangul alphabet and shares a sentence structure with Japanese, but has complex verb conjugations and honorifics. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video helped you better understand the differences between Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Bye!